Okay, so you are an absolute master of your trade. You can fix, build, or install just about anything. But turning that incredible skill into a business that actually thrives, well, that takes a whole different set of tools, right? Today, we're going to build that bridge, the one that takes you from being a great tradesperson to a successful business owner. Let's get our hands dirty.
Look, you've put in the years. You've honed your skills to a razor's edge, and your work, well, it speaks for itself. Whether you're under a car, up on a roof, or in a client's home, you know exactly what you're doing. That expertise, that's your bedrock. That's the foundation of everything.
But let me ask you a tough question. After a long day on the tools, are you spending your nights buried in a mountain of paperwork, chasing down payments, just feeling like you're constantly putting out one fire after another? If you're nodding your head right now, trust me, you are not alone.
And that feeling, it leads us right into the first huge distinction we need to make. And that's the difference between a business that's just busy and one that's truly built to last. This is, hands down, the biggest hurdle for so many blue-collar entrepreneurs.
You know, this quote from the Blue Collar Business Podcast just hits the nail on the head. That feeling of stalling out, right? Where taking on more work just means more chaos instead of more profit. That is the exact problem we are tackling today. And the good news is, there is a clear way forward.
So how do we make that jump from busy to built? Well, it all starts with a plan. And no, I'm not talking about some 50-page document that's just going to sit on a shelf and collect dust. I mean a clear, simple blueprint for your business. It's about knowing where you're going before you start pouring the concrete.
The cornerstone of that whole blueprint is something called a market analysis. That term scare you off. Seriously. All it really means is taking an honest look at the playing field. Who are you serving? Who are you up against? And what's happening out there?
And when you really break it down, it's about asking these key questions. Who is your perfect customer? Are you working for busy families or giant commercial fleets? How big is that opportunity really? What are your competitors doing right? And where are they dropping the ball? And yeah, you gotta know the rules of the game.
Speaking of rules, let's talk about compliance. I know. This is the part that can feel super overwhelming. But think of it this way. It's just another part of the job spec. You wouldn't start a construction job without the right permits, right? Your business is no different. We can make this manageable.
Generally, you're dealing with two main layers here, state and federal. Your state and local rules, they're usually going to cover things like your business licenses and permits. Federal rules might come into play depending on your specific trade, especially if you're in something like transportation.
Now, this slide is a great example from California for auto repair. But don't get bogged down memorizing this specific list. Instead, look at the types of requirements. See the pattern? There's a professional license for your trade, a general business license, a tax permit for selling stuff, and then, of course, a few extra steps if you have employees. Your state will have its own version of this checklist, but the categories are almost always the same. And on the federal side, especially for trades that involve transport, it is all about the documentation. Look, what this really boils down to is just organized record keeping. This isn't just a bunch of red tape, it's the paper trail that proves you're a professional who's running a really tight ship. All right, we've covered the rules. Now let's talk about the engine that really drives a built business, and that is systems. See, hard work gets you started, but good systems, that's what lets you grow without completely burning out. This simple shift in thinking can change everything. Just think about it for a second. Where are those little profit leaks happening in your business? Is it in the parts you forgot to bill for? The labor you underestimated on that last job? Maybe it's the time you wasted driving all the way back to the shop for a tool you forgot. A lack of systems is costing you money every single day. This comparison right here, it just gets right to the heart of it. On the left, that's the busy business. It might look like it's growing, but it's really just, as they say, revenue drunk on chaos. But on the right, that's the built business. It's profit sober. It's got clarity and control. That's where having simple processes protects your bottom line and your sanity. So where do you even start? Right here. Look, when it says document the process, don't get overwhelmed. Just start with one thing, like how you bring on a new client. Write down the 5 questions you ask every single time. Boom, that's a system. Always get written approval for change orders. Use a work in progress report. Heck, even a simple so you can see where every job stands at a glance. And after a job's done, compare your estimate to the actual cost. That's how you learn and get better every time. Okay, so you've got your plan. You've got your paperwork sorted out, and your processes are starting to take shape. So, how do you bring in the work? The final, crucial piece of this puzzle is marketing. But let's reframe that word. It's not about slick ads. It's about owning
and telling your story.
This quote is a serious call to action. If you don't tell your customers why you're the best choice, what makes you different, you know what happens? Just define you on price. That's it. Or even worse, one single bad review online becomes your entire story. You have to get ahead of that.
And look, it does not have to be complicated. The Blue Collar Business Podcast laid out this simple playbook, and I think it's just brilliant. Pull out your phone and film a real process, a how-to or a before. Title it with the exact words a customer would type into a search bar. Then just post it, see what happens, and do it again. You don't need some big, fancy marketing agency. You just need to be real.
Because really, at the end of the day, this is what it's all about. When a potential customer sees your work, when they hear you explain a process of your expertise, you're not just selling a service anymore. You're building trust. And in the trades, trust is what gets you the call. Period.
So, what this all comes down to is this. You've already built the skill. You've already got the work ethic and the expertise. That's the hard part. By just adding a simple blueprint, a few key systems, and your own authentic story, you can absolutely make that leap from being just another busy tradesperson to building a true business legacy. The only question, what story will you tell?